I'm good. I am just getting ready to start. I'm waiting for everyone to come on and welcome. I have to put some stuff up. We're also on Periscope, so I want to welcome everyone on Periscope. I hope I have my thing on. So I am like multitasking right now. so I have two recordings going on. It's gonna be fun. Hey, welcome. Hello. And who's this? Pat. Hey, Pat. Here we go. Hey, how are you? I'm good. I'm good. We're just waiting for some more people to come on, and as we start, hey, Cint. Oh, Cint is on Periscope. So, Cint, your cousin's on conference call. I'm multitasking. so, okay. I'm gonna turn to entry notice. No. I need it on. Thank you. Yeah, let me go ahead and put out there that the class has started, and we are now on Vera. No, Pat. She asked if it's Vera. No, she asked if it's with Vera, and I said no, Pat. Now I'm gonna be a little limited, everyone, that I cannot look at the Periscope. She said okay, and at the actual Periscope and conference call line who's coming on. But we're going to start in a little while. Cynthia got away with it because I don't normally pray in, but I have to say that when you're talking about something like a destroyer, or someone else just came on Periscope, and I don't know who it is, but if you could just like send your name through so I could know who it is. But when you're talking about something like a destroyer, OMG, I had a call today. Well, I made the call, and the call was to my sister. And it's a sister that I really don't talk to. Well, I don't talk to any of my sister because when we talk about the destroyer, this destroyer actually goes out and it hits everything that we love, that we know. It is toxic to us. So I say that to say, and I'll get more into it, but my sister that I call, she's a person that she will drain you. And when you have opened up yourself and your conscious mind and stuff, the way she thinks, the way she thinks will actually drain you. So I said, Lord, this was going to be a powerful class because I am totally drained. Now, Sin, this is an open class. I didn't make it private for everyone. Can you please watch any comments that's coming on through Periscope, and if you can block whoever that might come in, say something to just catch them. And so I'm going to assign you to that. But I want to welcome, thank you. So I want to welcome everyone. I want to welcome everyone here on Periscope, and I want to welcome everyone on the conference line. I know that everyone that has not made it on as yet, but I'm going to go ahead and start because I want this to be a 1-hour class. This isn't a real intense lesson because it's something that we really don't pay attention to, and I feel that we need to talk about. A lot of the students in this class has actually, like Cynthia herself, has actually went through certain steps of learning love. One of the things that she learned about learning love is there's stages. As you're growing up, as you're going to your adolescence, you're going through your birth and your your premature adolescence and adulthood, there's a way that love was supposed to be administrated. So in the process of it being administrated, a lot of things get interrupted. And the reason why I'm starting there first is because we don't know that a lot of times, and I'm just going to go over a brief overview, and then we're going to go back into now, our topic for tonight is the destroyer and how it grows up with us. So the first thing that we do is that we go through stages, and I'm going to just go over the stages really quick. One of the stages, and I think Dr. J also taught on this, that where our stages is also added into how we know how to survive, how we know how to have our safety and security and social love, needs, getting groups, appreciation, and self-esteem. But this particular thing is that if you were brought up from a parent, there's three types of parenting. The first parenting is the authoritative parent. The authoritative parent says, "Do as I say, not as I do." They're very militant. They tell you what to do. You can't. You're sometimes afraid to go even speak to them and say anything to them because they're either upset, they're angry. They're going through a lot of different things, and all they know how to do is give you love with conditions in it. So the authoritative parent come in, and they can act very ugly. I could say mine was an authoritative parent. I never went to go listen, to speak to my mother, and if I spoke to my mother or my grandmother, one thing I did do was wait first, and I held a lot of things in. So many of you that has read my book, the reason why I held it in and I didn't get the love I was supposed to get, and I was so afraid of them, especially my mother and my grandmother, I started doing things outside of the home. So that's how I ended up doing a lot of things outside of the home, is because of the fear. So that is why the authoritative parenting is not good. I'm going to beat them, not punish them instead of discipline, as you know. And I always throw the Bible in this, but as you know, in the Bible, God had disciples. Discipling has to do with discipline. So it was a discipline that he was teaching, and that parenting, and there's a parenting now. The second parenting is the permissive parenting. The permissive parent is, they'll learn eventually. They'll turn around. They'll learn. They're okay. They'll be all right. And that's the kid. I put it this way. Have you ever went to the store, and we could all talk together. Have you ever went to the store, and have you ever noticed there's a kid running around the actual supermarket, and the mother is nowhere to be found? That's a permissive parent. And the child is screaming, and they're going up and down the road, up and down the aisle, and you're like, okay, where's the mother? Where's the mother? Mother nowhere to be found. That's the permissive parent. He'll be okay. But by the time that child gets to a certain age, they're gangbanging, they're doing whatever they want to do. That can go wrong too. So then you have the third parenting. And I'll say it's four parenting style. The third parenting is the oscillating parent. So now you have the oscillating parent that take the authoritative role and the permissive role. And my mom could have fell in that kind of category. She is the authoritative parent, but she watched you long enough, and she's the only one I could use as an example, is watching you long enough to say, all right, I'm watching you. Okay. Do as I say, not as I do. But y'all not paying attention. Okay, I'm going to let y'all do what you want to do. Then when at the end of the month or end of the week, or 2 weeks later, she's going to get the belt and she's going to explode. She explode at the last minute, and you're like, okay, I did that last week, and you're going to get, and that's why people say I know how to preach, because I was taught to preach during when my mother start spanking you, or my grandma, they're gonna give you a lecture with the spanking, and but my mother will go a little bit further, by putting us in a tub and beating our skin, make sure our skin was wet, all that stuff. But she would blow up, and you would never know what was going to trigger her for her to blow up. So that is the oscillating parent. They watch the child do it, but when they do turn around and get that child is going to hear everything they did and going to get every lash for everything they did. You'll be like, oh my God, couldn't she have beat me last week for that? But no, it's going to add on. So now the stages of love is how we're supposed to have been parenting. Stages of loving is how we learn love, and what the students have learned already, and they've passed, and I'm going to start the class over again, and there's going to be a lot of them that's going to teach, because this was so important to them, of understanding, why do I understand love the way I do? Why is it that I am the way I am? Because I don't understand myself. Well, when a parent actually teaches you in that way, because our parenting style is breakthrough parenting. It's begin parenting from the inside out. And what we did not do is know how to, even your mother, even your grandmother, they just knew what they knew from their ancestor. You have ancestral generations that brings up this type of behavior. So now you have stage one is you're supposed to be learning about yourself. Birth to 4 years old, you're in a black and white thinking. You have that concrete thinking. I only see things black and white. That's all I see it. That's all I understand. I don't understand right from wrong unless it's taught to me. That's the black and white thinking. In these 3 levels that you are in black and white thinking. Self, birth to 4 years old. Pleasing others, 5 to 7. Fairness, 7 to 11, and many of you students that's on here right now, you know that you have a test, so you're getting a part of the test right now, okay? So you kind of could cheat off of this one. And then you have fairness, 7 to 11. So from 7 years old to 11 years old, you're supposed to be learning fairness. Again, pleasing others from age 5 to 7, and self from birth to 4. That's your black and white thinking. So now you come out of your black and white thinking, and you now go into your abstract thinking. That's seeing gray areas. You know right from wrong, but you know there's an in between. You can accept people for who they are. You can actually relate to people or see things and say, okay, you know, I can deal with that, and there is some gray areas. And this is a lot of scientists, a lot of people that's right brain see things in gray areas. A lot of left brain people see things in black and white thinking. That's just an extra for you, because I dealt with the left brain today. Lord, dealing with the right brain, total right brain and total left brain. If you join the class, that is going to be our next lesson to learn a person. And I have a few left brains and right brains in the class, and you have to know how to juggle both of them. But you're now in your abstract thinking, seeing a gray area, not seeing, oh, you've got to be good or you've got to be bad. There is a middle. That's where now God say that free will, that will. He said, I've given you, the will. I've allowed you to come and to experience sin, but not stay in it, and you have that choice. Law and order is 12 to 15 years old. That's the abstract thinking. We're learning about law and order. The students know what happens with all these stages when it's not administered correctly. Then you have ethics. That's 15 plus. That's the 15 years old on to teenager. They learn the ethics. Universality, and then that's your adult age. That's what you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to be at. But you're not there, because a lot of times when we go back to self, and that's the birth to 4 years old, and we look at the chart, we're still in our physical and survival need. Like I said, these actual stages, these actual levels keep you somewhere at the bottom stage. And one of the things that now we're going to talk about tonight is a destroyer. what happens is that this particular this particular trait, I would say demon, as we would say, because we're going to call it a demon. It's something that keeps us where we're at. We don't want to actually face it, talk to it. We don't want to embrace it because it's too hard. This thing actually take us. It lives with us. It grows with us. It follows us and it becomes us. It even becomes what it is that we have allowed a group. We could be so spiritual minded that we're no earthly good, because this destroyer has come in. It has come to destroy your destiny. It has come to destroy your balance, your direction. So now, if it has to use a person, if it has to use a thing, a place, if it has to use alcohol, if it has to use sex, if it has to use gender association, a lot of times we are seeing, and I said it on Facebook the other day, a lot of times we are seeing that we're missing our gender. We want to fit in. So the transgenders and the lesbians, I have to stand out now because I need to associate myself with something. That goes back once again with my theory with the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel is where everyone got together and they had a unity. They could actually get together and agree upon something. They wanted family. So this destroyer comes in and not build family, but destroy family. Everyone understand that? Everyone there? Okay. So the family value, the family getting together is said yes, is actually broken because of this destroyer. And it's powerful when I found out about this destroyer, because my next book is called The Spirit of Sabotage, Behavior of the Soul. And I got to the sabotage part, but this saboteur spirit is 10 times more. That's why we call it the destroyer. We call it the destroyer because it comes to destroy what it is that you say you love the most. And as you get ready to do this class, and if you take the class, everyone in this class had to find out their archetype. An archetype is actually a personality trait that we carry, and we try to find ourselves in it. We have the wounded child, we have the childlike person in the archetype, and then we have all these different names of archetypes that we play, like a Don Juan. We have the detectives and all that. So the destroyer is one of the archetypes that not many people pick out. I was talking to Dr. J the other day, and she said I was one of the people she ever had that picked out the destroyer, and she had to go and destroy it. She had to destroy the words. She had to destroy the memories, all these things, because I had to come to grip that I carried the destroyer with me. Everywhere I went, every time I went somewhere, or I tried to get higher, or I get to a place, the destroyer will come and know how to destroy me. The destroyer is a necessary part of the birth and death cycle. It is necessary to destroy. It is necessary to destroy in order to make room for new things to be born. In the healing aspect, the destroyer is positive in that it frees and liberates the soul from situations that are limiting. Its negative aspect is the senseless destruction, not constructive destruction. So that means that it's a self-destructive mechanism. If you see someone, I use myself as an example. If I used to be a cutter, I used to cut myself. I used to cut myself. I used to beat myself in the head. I used to cut my, from cutting myself to my arms, and I have the scars to show it from my back, because I wanted attention. I never felt love. I didn't know what love felt like, so I used to cut myself for attention. That's attention seeking disorder, and anything I could do to seek attention, I was going to do. We still see this a lot in adults. We see this a lot in adults. If a married person, or like my daughter, or even myself in marriage, I used to make up little lies. Not little lies, but it's a lie. I used to make up lies because I wanted attention. I used to, in relationship, oh, I'm sick, and I used to make myself sick, and I used to make myself, oh, I need this extra attention. I used to want to be the center of attention. And one thing about me, I didn't like the center of attention, but only way I knew I could get attention was, oh, okay, she sent him. The only way I could get attention was to actually do what I had to do to get people to notice me and understand me. That's the destroyer. The destroyer is because my mother and my grandmother, I had to fight for love, and we never fought for love. We never got the love that we needed, so we'll find it. We'll even find a man. We'll even find a woman to go and fill that need for our love. It is an emotion. The emotion is off balance, and it's okay for us to have emotions, and it's okay for us to do certain things, but it's how you do it and what you're doing it for, your intentions. As I was going through my change, like I said, the destroyer comes to say, hey Bridget, how you doing? You got an issue. And if I don't look at the issue, I am going to carry that destroyer with me. Every relationship I've got into, from physical to relationship to emotional relationship, I don't care if you get into a church, the destroyer is going to follow you. I'm gonna break some hearts here. Can I talk to y'all? Because we got to be real. I'm gonna tell you this one thing about this Periscope and anything about this class. I got a call yesterday, and she said, Pastor Bridget, I understand that you got to be raw. I can't sugarcoat it anymore. I can't sugarcoat it for you, because what has happened, the destroyer has been with you so much that that's what you're used to. You're used to sugarcoating stuff. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore, because that's what the church does. And I'm going to bring it back to not just the church, but the religion. The religion puts a Band-Aid on it. The religion doesn't come in. They tell people like myself, oh, you got to do it in love. But I see the Bible says that God chastens who he loves. Sometimes you got to go through a shock. I remember I was with my daughter. I use this as a testimony. I remember I was with my daughter the other day, and she came out of herself. And you know what? I am so glad. I just remember I did not start the recording on this. Okay. She came out of herself. I'm going to say that she had a temporary loss of memory of who I was, and I'll use it as that. And I had to go ahead and remind her who I was. One of the things that God did to Adam, and I remember I had this discussion with a young lady. She said to me that God didn't know where Adam was. I said, God knew exactly where Adam was. Adam didn't know where Adam was, and God had to bring him back to his remembrance when God went into the garden and said, Adam, where are you? And he said that because a question makes you think. I'm going to say that again. A question will always make you think. So when my daughter said something to me, I had to bring it back to her remembrance. Do you know who you're talking to? Do you remember who you're talking to? Because that destroyer knows you. And I let the destroyer know that, you're not going to, not here. Not today. not here. And I had to wake it back up. She didn't mean no harm, because the destroyer does not mean harm. It only does what it does. It harms you, and it speaks to you a certain way. It treats you a certain way, but it only does what it knows what to do. And that's why the destroyer is so important for us to know. It sabotages your life. It sabotages your relationship. It is a level of emotion. Let's go to the levels of emotion, of awareness. Dr. J and I are going to talk about this too Sunday. So we're going to continue on Sunday, where we're also going to talk about shame. Shame is something that actually does not get healed. I'm gonna break that down to you. There's shame. We always carry shame, and we carry a guilt in us. And the destroyer is designed for that. It is designed for you to walk in shame and guilt. The destroyer, and it's a lower level. We talk about frequencies, and Dr. J will talk more about our frequency levels. But this frequency we carry is so low that we put ourselves down in the totem pole. We don't see ourselves as any good, because the destroyer has told us we're no good. But we live with it. We don't even know that we have a destroyer. We don't even know, because we've become comfortable with it. It has to do with the levels of your human consciousness. Guess what, y'all? We are unconscious. We are unconscious. We are unconscious because, going back to our childhood, everything that was administrated to us, everything that mommy couldn't do for us, daddy couldn't do. Daddy and mommy broke up because I was a unwanted child. Do you know that shame even breeds in the birth canal? And this is a actual, I have a lesson on this, and I'm gonna do this for all the students. That, do you know, actually, even in the womb and the conception, because of the frequency of how you were conceived, the conception, if this was something that sex was introduced the wrong way, how many of us know that we are spiritual beings having human experiences? How many of us know that? You know, you can answer on Periscope, you can answer here on the line, but we are spiritual beings having human experiences. So our spirit man, the energy of even how we have a conceptual birth or sex and consented. See, did I consent to this sex, and how was it introduced to me? And if it was introduced to me in a shameful way, now there is a fetus in there, they're growing, and mommy doesn't feel that good about herself. Daddy is always yelling, and that's in my new book about behavior of the soul. Even when a parent screams or holler and the child is in the womb, guess what? The child is feeling every bit of it. The destroyer is being birthed in the incubator. The destroyer is coming and saying, I'm no good. I had to go through, let me go back and talk about me. I kept on trying to wonder, and this is why I am where I'm at today, because I was always nosy. I used to say to myself, okay, Lord, let me ask you a question. Why do I keep on wanting to kill myself? And I had to find out it wasn't myself I wanted to kill. It wasn't my flesh. It was my soul contaminated, and my spirit wanted to live. So every time I wanted to kill myself, I'm like, okay, what is wrong with me? Why I want to kill myself, and why this, and why I see myself as this? I found out I had to go to my DNA. And I found out my mom, she got with my dad because her dad was molesting her. She got with my dad out of deception. It was part of shame. And guess what, my mom, she's a very strong woman, but through the cover and the band-aid and the destroyer walking with her, she still had a lot of shame. She had a lot of shame in her. She learned manipulation, all these different things, and I was carrying this stuff with me. Because now, look at the canal. It's the birth canal. It has to go through water. And when we are born again, we are washed away with what? Water. Then we get baptized. And things has to be washed away. But remember, the water that the baby is sitting in. And I'm trying to look at notes, but I can't go on notes because I'm speaking to someone right now that needs to hear this. I'm speaking to someone's spirit. So I can't even go towards my notes because your spirit needs to be free. Because your soul has been living so long in the contamination of that birth canal. The water that you're now sitting in, the incubation, is being incubated. And now we look at as women, now we look at the actual umbilical cord. That is the energy feeding into the baby. It's feeding into your mind, your thoughts, how you see yourself. Do you know that, and a lot of the students know this, that in 3 months, for the 3 months period of a woman, a Jewish woman, they are sent away. That's why Mary was sent away with Jesus, because the characteristics is being built, and they did not want the woman to have any strenuous work or anything, but to think of that fetus. That fetus has no open, it try not to give it the open door for it to now be able to be taken off track. So that's why the Jews do it. I just got an aha moment, a eureka moment. Remember when God made Adam outside of the garden, and I'm getting deep on you, and we're looking at it in a spiritual thing. He looked at Adam outside of the garden, but he had to put him in the garden. The garden is a symbolism. I'm not saying this is what it is, but it's a symbolism of a womb. Adam was being brought up. Adam was actually being taught in the garden, the conceptual garden that was pure, that was righteous. The wound, and I remember someone said that Dr. Trim said something like this, and people thought she was crazy, but it was pure. The Garden of Eden was not contaminated. It was being taught. When Adam ate of the fruit, not Eve. I look at Eve as his emotion, because women were very emotional. So he said, woman, the womb of the man, the emotion. Now, when he ate of it, his eyes was open. Sin now entered in. Fear entered in. Shame entered in. They cover up their self with the actual, with the leaf, and they went out with the leaf, and okay, we're gonna hid. He said, Adam, where are you? He said, we've hidden because we were what? Afraid. Afraid had to do with fear. Fear has to do, you hid, so you're not ashamed. We got to take you out now. I have to have a premature birth. Adam wasn't ready they weren't ready yet. They were being trained in the way they should go, so when they're old, they will not depart. So now they have to have a premature birth. The premature birth, when you look at a child that's prematurely have to be birthed, the child now has to learn a certain way. They don't learn as the mature child. And I'm speaking in a metaphorical way. I'm speaking in a figurative way. So now when we see this, we see that we're now born out into sin from everything mommy took in. Mommy took in that this one didn't like her. Daddy might not be around. I had to struggle. I had to do this. So mommy can't give you the love that you're so looking for. The destroyer now grows with you. The destroyer even grow with mommy. Because mommy might have had to go through the same thing too. Mommy might have had to go through where no one loved her, showed her love. So now we see, when we say generational curse, this is the breakdown. I hope y'all have your pen and paper. We have generational, we always say generational cycle. No, it's first is generational behavior. The behavior of the generation, of your ancestral generation. Then we have the generational cycles. The cycles now start. Then now we have the generational curse. Now it's not all curses, because blessings do come with it. Because once you learn your destroyer, you can turn it out into a blessing. I am a walking blessing today. I am a blessing because I learned how to turn that destroyer around for my good. Knowing the feelings is present. You have to know that one thing about your level of consciousness, and when we're unconscious, as we see right now, there's a lot of things going on in the media. We are seeing people so unconscious. I just heard, and I forgot what country it was, but a Palestinian, and it was an American girl that just got stabbed, I think 12 times by an Iraqi or whoever it was that they have to do with the Iraqis and stuff. This particular mindset is a very warped mindset. They walk with the destroyer and love the destroyer. The reason why I'm actually teaching this is because, as Dr. J and I say, that we have to get, how did Jesus get us? One soul at a time. Even if I have to get one soul can bring 1,000 souls. The next soul will bring 10,000 souls. But we have to get them because we are so far apart from the consciousness of God. God is a conscious God. He's not a schizophrenic God. He doesn't say that I'm going to do this one minute and next minute that he does another thing. He is a conscious God. And because we are unconscious, we can do anything. We can kill with no remorse. You're seeing people walk around, and I used to say to people, what is this thing about The Walking Dead? Everybody loved The Walking Dead. And I remember God telling me, he said, Bridget, you know why The Walking Dead and all these movies are so hot? And I said, why, God? He said, because they are dead. We have people that are actually dead and walking around, and what they have done is walked around unconsciously of what's been fed through the incubator, through that actual environment, and now I become a product of my environment. I become, using my own family, I now become in here that I'm going to be a whore. You're going to be a whore just like your mother. You're not going to be no good. So guess what? My environment now becomes either prostitution, I go into prostitution, or I find people that makes me feel worthless. I don't care how good my family could have been, but is what was fed to me. We call this in our parenting self-prophecies. I see nothing good. I don't understand good. I don't know what good is. I try to understand good, but good is the way that I see it. I see good when I manipulate you. I see good when I am cunning. When I can get my way. That is good. I'm trying my best, and that is my best. One of the things that I have in the spirit of sabotage, or the behavior of the soul, this will be one of the hardest lessons I said in this, it has a reconnaissance spirit, and reconnaissance have to do with the military search made for useful military information. It has to be trained, and the destroyer has trained you. And when now Jesus comes and he said he comes to renew your mind, the mind does not become renewed anymore because it's been trained to see an unconscious thing. I saw today, I'm going to use this as an example, and I thought it was pretty funny. This guy, I have on my workout clothes and my sneakers and stuff, and he said to me, "Can I come work out with you?" And I looked at him like, why would I want you to come work out with me? I know it was a pickup line, but that was the most stupidest pickup line. And do you really think that I want you to come with me? So I kind of like brushed him off and ignored him. Kept on filling up my tank. So I was talking to one of the mothers of the church on the phone. I said, "Mother, I don't know what's going on with these men, but they keep on coming on to me." And I said, "It's all good." And she was talking, and she was on the speaker. I don't know if he heard her. But make a long story short, because I turned him down in such a subtle way, the guy got in the car and gave me the finger. I started laughing. I said, "Oh my God! Now can you see?" And we call that the light bearer. That when it knocks at the door, because us women, we look up for that pickup line. We look for things like that. That's a destroyer. Because he's saying something that we're not telling ourselves. I don't need for you to work out with me. I can work out by myself. I know I look good. Thank you. You're just trying to say that I look good. Thank you. I don't need for you to ride with me. So he got mad because what she was going to say. Okay, because I heard somebody say something. But he got mad because go ahead. Oh, okay. Yes, thank you. And I know this. At one time I didn't. But the destroyer, the light bearer, will come and try to test you. The destroyer doesn't live with me anymore. It doesn't live in my camp anymore. The reconnaissance spirit, it lives in a camp. It has legal ground to establish by the spirit of sabotage to how it operates. It attacks through your lineage. It attacks through your purpose. It attacks you. And it takes you and tries to take you out. It's a principality. It's a spirit. We'll say in Christian, we'll say Christianese. It's a principality. It's Ephesians 6-10. We fight not get what? Against flesh and blood, principality, rulers, spiritual wickedness in high places. What's the high places? I'm going to break this down really quick to you, because I just heard something. Let me go ahead and break this down for you. We fight against flesh, not against flesh and blood, but principalities. Principalities is the darkness of the ruler of the kingdom, and I would say of Satan for the Christians. When we say Satan, he is now that dark thing. He knows how you operate. He knows what to say. He knows how you act. He has studied you. Now he tells his powers. Powers are the demons. The demons that comes and now say the right words or do the right things or make this wrong and that wrong. Demons that are busy. Now I'm going to really trip you out. The demons now from powers to rulers. Rulers of the world, rulers, we now have the unconscious, the subconscious, the unconscious talk to the subconscious. We have politicians, we have presidents, we have state representative and congress people. Well, guess what? Lady Shay, hey, I can't remember who Lady Shay was, but all these people, we have mommy, we have daddy. These are the, Prophet Sharon, these are the actual people that's feeding your destroyer. They're building on your destroyer. We now have to have Medicaid because God said that, He said, by His stripes you're healed. 39 lashes he got. Jesus got. But we now have to have Medicaid, so we don't have no hope. We have more hope in man. I will tell the president, and I will tell the Congress people, and I just finished getting off the phone this morning, and I'm telling you, I'm really drained because so many things, and I'm pumped back up because I took a nap. I found out so many things that's really happening in the spirit world, in the darkness of worlds, with politics, that I have so many secrets that it drained me today that I couldn't even turn on my radio. I had to drive in silence. I had to it was so much. It's a whole lot. And one person said, follow the money. He said, Bridget, follow the money. What's really going on? This is your world rulers. Your world rulers now is programming us. Ephesians 6 and 10, and Prophetess Pastor Sharon, you can go back and play this. But the world rulers now say, Mommy, you cannot feed your children without food stamps. Oh, God said He will supply all your needs according to your riches and His riches and glory through Christ Jesus. No, we are your God. World rulers say, oh, you can't feed your children. We're going to give you food stamps. We're going to give you supplements. We're going to give you Social Security. We're going to give you all this stuff because we are your rulers. Today a man said something about it's better to rent. I said, I don't want nobody lord over my land. I'm going to own my own land. But the world rulers taught that. They now teach mommy and daddy, or they are mommy and daddy, because as they grow up, they become that person. They now become that one in power of control from principality. Now powers tell them what to do. And now guess who's spiritual wickedness? Y'all ready? Our thoughts and our mind. Everything is controlled through the mind. Anything you so desire can be thought. God saw us as nothing but a thought. But guess what? It now comes to Ephesians 6 through 10. We fight not against flesh and blood, but principality, principality, powers, world rulers, and now spiritual wickedness. Spiritual wickedness now say it exalts itself above what? The knowledge. That imagination. The thought is nothing but imagination. And I now have to now exalt myself from that imagination that you call God. None of us knew how to put it back into captivity, and that's what Christ came and did. So we're still walking with the destroyer. We're still walking with what was fed to us. We're still walking from the shame of the garden. What was the first? I'm not even going to say the first sin, because a few sins started happening in the garden and they had to get out. But then Jesus, oh my God, thank you. You said Jesus, and I didn't want to say about Jesus. Let's say Adam. I'm sorry, Pastor Sharon, way ahead of me. But then Adam and Eve. When we talk about the incubation, and if you think this is so far-fetched of when the child is inside and incubating, remember the birth canal. And I could get so deeper than that, but we're going to just stay here. When the child sits in and it's birthing, and then the actual umbilical cord is feeding from the energy. That's energy. The child is feeding and feeling everything. They got dragged out the garden. They got pulled out the garden that they could not go back. So now they had to learn in a different way. He said he will bruise your head, and he will bruise your head, and you will bruise under his heel. So that means that he's under your feet, and I'm just paraphrasing, and the bruise of the head is the mind. That's why we come to renew our mind. But when they went out with the shame, they went out with the guilt, guess what happened? The first murder. The murder now happened. Now I want y'all to see this, what I'm saying, and I'm explaining to you that this destroyer comes out with you. Murder now happened. The first murder. Jealousy, envy, the destroyer, discouragement. Come on, I'm going to give you some things. Depression, low self-esteem. Cain carried low self-esteem. Cain said, why did you like his offering with that? Well, I would say Jacob and Esau, but then Cain was also jealous. Low self-esteem. All these things. Did Adam and Eve actually forgive God? Because that's a thing of unforgiveness. The child now carried. What did I say? Come on now. Generational behavior, generational cycle, generational curse. We now are seeing a pattern. And as I was telling my cousin the other day, she was saying about the new roots, and we were talking about roots and everything, and we were talking about slavery. And people wants to justify now that slavery in Africa wasn't as bad because we justify what's bad and what's good. We now want to put a label on it. It wasn't that bad in Africa. It's whoever got us and brought us over here took it to the extreme. Baby, you were already a slave. If you came out of slavery, you're already a slave in your mind. In Roots, it says the white man has beaten Kunta Kinte. He said, say Toby. He wouldn't say it. He asked him, who is the slave master over this land? He said, slaves ain't bought, baby. Slaves are made. My cousin disagreed with me on that. I said, baby, slaves are made. Because once I can break your mind down and we go back into the garden and what the enemy did, what Satan did, what he did, and it was nothing but a thought. I'm going to really mess y'all up now. Was it really Satan thought, but was he really just saying to Eve what she was already thinking? What they were already thinking in their mind. So a man think it, so is he. Was he really saying what they weren't saying? Has Miriam, I think it was Miriam, say to Moses, are you the only one that hear God? We not questioning some stuff. So now we walking with this destroyer, and it's destroying everything. And as I explained to my cousin, when it comes down to slavery, all the slave master was doing, see, anything that we go through an evolution, it grows. It doesn't grow. Look at computer. At one time we had data entry. The computer was just made to enter things in, but now it sends things out. Technology is growing. Cars are now driving. They're putting a driveless person car together to drive you around. But at first, the car was ran by what? It would be ran by this and ran by that, and the car was one design, and then the design changed and it changed. Listen. A slave mindset, a actual mindset in bondage, grows. The destroyer doesn't get smaller, it grows bigger. And it tries to take you out. It's going to take you out with sickness. It takes you out with health and weight. And I'm going to use this as an example, and many of y'all already know that you don't know. I remember my aunt used to look at me and say, you're going to be big and fat and have a bunch of children. It's in my book. Do you know I suffered with weight for years? I suffered with it. I go through a thing of that because it was fed to me, incubated to me. So now, I hear you, Pastor. She said, computers rule the world, but God is in control. See, it's what we take to make it for the goodness of God. And when we go back now to the destroyer, it gives you hopelessness, helplessness, insecurity, grief, disappointment. Our body image, we don't like it. We don't like this. My breast too big, my belly too big, my this too big. It's not about your outer appearance. It's destroying your inner thoughts. All these things has come. That's why we say it's a level of consciousness. We are unconscious. We are unconscious to the things of God. And I have to bring this tonight to many of you that has come on. It's an open periscope, so you're welcome to share it. But we are unconscious, and this is why we're seeing killings. This is why we're seeing mother. The Bible said mother is going to be against mother, daughter against daughter. This is why we're seeing it, because we are unconscious. Jesus came, the one we said we love the most, the one we say we follow, to show us in a conscious level on where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to be walking in. Do you know the shame in a frequency? Let me explain to you on frequency. Let's get into the scientific mechanism of it. This is the quantum mechanics for you scientific scientists out there. Then you have your quantum leap. That's faith. Quantum leap. It's just a changing of the conversation. Whoever holds the conversation holds the power. Whoever holds the question holds the answer. When you see Donald Trump, and we talk about Donald Trump always have a lot of questions that he's asking, but the questions he's asking, he already have answer for. It goes back into the garden. Adam, where are you? God have the answers. But the frequency, have been turned down in our frequency. Do you know, Shane, we are supposed to be at, I believe, a 700. Dr. J is going to talk about it on Sunday. We're supposed to be at a 700. Let me tell you something. Shame and guilt is at, let me see the number of freaking, where that number is at. I think it's at a 50. Or 100. We have a lot to go. A lot. The level of consciousness, it's a collaboration over the years of this study has defined, yes, a range of values accurately corresponding to well-recognized set of attitudes and emotions. That is your level of consciousness. Check your attitude. Check your emotions. Localized by specific attractors of energy fields, much of the electromagnetic fields, gathering iron filling. Now let me explain to you what that means. What was Adam made out of? Dirt. The dirt Adam was made out of, that's why he said earthly vessel. Do you notice when things is out of whack, the earth is out of whack? We even have flooding, we have earthquake, because we are. Matter of fact, watch that movie Avatar. I was watching it the other day, and how they took something that they had and they connected to the earth. That's what they're talking about, the energy. See, the world is where we go out and preach the gospel, but we are created the earth from the dirt. That's why we go back to the dirt. Hear that? Even when when we're buried or we're burnt, it's dust. So the energy, that's what they're talking about, the energy field, and we can feel it. We can feel it in the atmosphere when we walk into something. We feel something isn't right. That's why we have to come out of it's intuition and intuition into I have my notes over there, but we'll put it this way in Christianese: discernment. When you're unconscious, you have no discernment, so the destroyer can run over you. The destroyer can make you do what you want to do. It wants you to do. We have no discernment. So now when something is going wrong, I heard about the bomb at the last, it's what's called Istanbul, that just blew up. Yes, I heard about the bomb, and they said they saw something going on. They said, but they just couldn't put their finger on it. Where was the discernment? It's your intuition. Why is it we are connected? Something just isn't right. The atmosphere was telling. I always tell people that I'm very connected to the atmosphere. I know when something's not right and when something is. One thing that I love that I come out of a family that they levitated, they astral project. I can tell when something is not right. My grandmother would tell you, quit. Something been moved up in here. No, something ain't right up in here. And I'm like, how she know? But that is your intuition, your discernment. And that is our energy level of the earth. He said, our Father who art in where? Heaven. There is a heavenly heaven and a heavenly earth. We are in heaven. Thy kingdom come. I'm going to show you. Thy will be done. In what? He didn't say the world. What he said? He didn't say the world. He said in earth. In earth. What earth he was talking about? Our vessel. As it is in heaven. Okay. Thy kingdom come. The king, the God, the dominion of the kingdom here that he gave you, that you went and forfeit, Adam, for your fleshly desires. Let thy kingdom come. Jesus said, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. I have given you everything that you so desire. How do we get rid of this destroyer? We now got to be truthful with ourselves. Gird up your loins with what? Truth. I'm going to put on now your armor. I'm going to now come to you and speak to the mind that has not been renewed. That's why we have the helmet of salvation. The salvation now has to be within your mind. You got to atone. You got to repent. Repent. The destroyer knows what you love so much. Father, forgive them because they know what they do. They don't know that their mother taught them that, and then their daddy taught them that, their uncle taught them that. They're just following the generational behavior that came into a cycle, and now it's a curse. But we're going to deal with that. We got to deal with this now. So we're going to gird up our loin with truth, and the lower organs of the loin right now is the reproductive system. Anything go in got to come out. So we got to gird that up with truth. We're gonna pull it. We're gonna put a gird, and it's a belt. It's a rope. Tie it up. A 3/4 cord cannot be destroyed. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. When you see me, you see the Father. I am the Father of one. So let's get back into oneness. Let's get back into unity. Let's get our mind renewed. So now, from we girding our loins up with truth, and we're now covering the truth, because whatever enter in, it now is incubated Because now we're going to get the breastplate of righteousness and the incubation. We're going to cover now the upper organs of the heart, of the kidneys and the liver, because once those are damaged, it's no good. It's no good to us. Our heart is damaged. So we can't deal with truth. Because truth has not entered in the right way. We don't want to hear corrective criticism, and we don't want to walk in righteousness because we have been hurt. So we say, okay, we're going to put on the breastplates of righteousness on them now, so they can walk through this. They can go through this. No more justification, because the destroyer know how to justify. But when you're walking in righteousness, you now know how to gratify. Because anything that comes through the heart now goes through. How I have a diagram, and if you want, anyone on you want this, I'll send it to you in the new book. I'll be more than happy to send it out of the new book. It's called How Sin Enter In. And anything the heart take in, they said the heart is exceedingly wicked. Why is it wicked? Because the energy, the things that was fed into the heart, man has actually carried it on. So now it's exceedingly wicked. Now with the heart thing, the minds follow. The mind will follow it through. Because the heart is telling me, oh, my heart. You know, you ever heard it said the devil made me do it? So where's the devil living? Because a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Your heart is exceedingly wicked. And God is trying to chisel through that. Chisel through that heart. But the destroyer knows it. So now from the breastplates of righteousness, and now we have kidney problem, liver problem. This have to be replaced. That the stomach holds everything. And I used to suffer with all this stomach problem. If you notice, women holds a lot of the areas in their stomach. It gets bigger. It's because they're holding everything inside of there, and they're not letting it go. Their bowel movements is all messed up. Because we have intaken it. We've intaken the negative energy back in, and it cannot be released. So now we go through menopause, thank you, Lord. Not menopause, but also menopause and a lot of dis-ease. But we go through fibroids. If you notice, a lot of black women are getting hysterectomies quick. Dis-ease. These are the demons that has taken up space inside of there. Fibroids, the false pregnancy that we are carrying. This is a metaphor. We're carrying demonic, destroying babies. That's now sabotaging all these different things. We're sabotaging our weight. We're sabotaging our relationship, even with ourselves. Okay. So now you have peace. We don't have no peace, but we have the gospel. The gospel, what Jesus came to speak, to preach, to teach, to preach, to show ye. Follow me. What you have to do to follow me, for him. Peace. How am I going to tell you about this God and there is no peace? You talk about this gospel, but you have no peace. He said, peace that passes all, not some understanding, but all. So peace is the guidance of this destroyer. Give me peace and rest, that I can see that my enemy is coming. Go do it quickly. Judas, go do it quickly. Would you betray the Son of Man? Go do it quickly. Let me kiss you. Go do it quickly. I'm good with it. I have peace. I know my purpose. Destroyer takes away your purpose. We're going back for your purpose. So now you have the peace on your feet. Remember, we're clothing ourselves again. We're taking off the old man and putting on the new man. That is the true armor. Now I have peace. I can walk with peace of the gospel and professing the thing. So when I say a thing, the thing has to happen. When I tell the thing to move, when I tell it not so, not here, not this body, not my family, not my children. Hey, they got to go through their thing, but I will not proclaim that. I proclaim the gospel of peace. I proclaim the righteousness. I proclaim the truth, because now I have the shield of faith. Quantum leap. The leap of faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. What is a substance? The substance of what has been designed before you that you cannot do. They say you can't do this. You can't do that. You have the illusion that has been painted because you've taken off the helmet of salvation. You've taken off your helmet. Now everything is entering in. You're seeing all kinds of things and you're not intaking it. And now your faith that you're supposed to be working. When you see a soldier, when you see them out there on the battlefield and they got their weapon, they're not holding it down. They have their sword and they go ahead and use it. For that shield got to work. Work your faith. Because as we get the sword now, the sword is going to cut it down. We can use it for cut and we could use it to build. Because the sword, if you turn it around, you can use the edge as a hammer. If you hold up a sword, it is the cross. I want you to picture, and I'm showing you on Periscope. I want you to visualize, for the ones that are on this conference, look at your sword. It is the cross, and Jesus came, said what he said, follow me. Pick up your issues and follow me. Pick up your cross and follow me. He had every word from out of his mouth. He did not separate with God. He said, when you see me, you see the Father. I am the Father, O one. But because we have so separated from the Father, we don't want to deal with the principles, the layout. I have left everything before leaving earth, the Holy Bible. And the Bible is only the basic instructions before leaving earth. There are some missing things. But if you discern and you get with the Comforter, my spirit. Why did he call it holy? Because nothing contaminated can touch the Spirit of God. So it is holy. Because what? Be ye holy? Because I am holy. Be ye what? Perfect? He was whole. Perfect, whole. That's what it means. Mature. Wake up. Wake up. We are so far asleep, and I know we're running into a little time. I know we started a little late. We was waiting for some people, but I want to leave you with this until Sunday. Many of you will come on. We're not going to do it on Periscope. We are going to do it on the conference line, but we're going to go back into the lesson of this asleepness. But I want you to now know how you kill the destroyer. And we'll talk more about that. You're going to need some people in your life that can tell you the truth. You're going to have to do your work. And we're going to talk about that Sunday. This is not a temporary position. I had to do it full time. The destroyer became my friend to see who I was. We know when we're manipulating. We know when we're being manipulated. Some of us become manipulated because that's the only way we feel a part of something. So now the destroyer does its work. We now have to sit, we have to go and do our own work. We want to open up ministry. We want to open up this, we want to open up that, and we call it therapeutic abuse. Dr. J and I call it therapeutic abuse. We are up on the pulpit prophesying, we're preaching, we're doing this, and that's what I couldn't do that. I couldn't say I'm your coach, and I couldn't take this lesson and help you with it when I'm destroying my own self. I don't let a man examine their self. The first level of emotional awareness is knowing when feelings are present in ourselves. We become aware of the feeling when we first think about it or realize we feel something at the moment. That's the first level. A lot of us deny our feelings. We deny our what we feel. I knew that it wasn't. I use this example. I knew I wasn't supposed to be with my ex-husband. Many times, I slammed the door in his face. Many times God moved him. But because I was so insecure and he made me feel a certain way, I know deep down, be true with your feelings. I wasn't true with my feelings. We might feel impatient, we might start tapping our finger, but at the first we are not aware either that we are tapping our fingers of our feelings. Then we might notice we are tapping our fingers, and we might also realize we are feeling impatient. My granddaughter have a problem with biting her nails, and I'm not around her much now because, a lot of people bite their nails. They don't pay attention. It's a lot on their mind. It's impatient. They're thinking about something. I used to twirl my hair. That's how I got dreads. And I used to say to my granddaughter, I was with her the other day, I said, "What's on your mind?" "Huh?" I said, "You're biting your nails. Talk to me." She didn't know her feelings. She don't know. People don't know that they're snapping because they're unconscious. People don't know that they're hurting because they're unconscious. They're taking the hurt and living with it. We might also be saying to ourselves, "I can't believe how long this is taking." I'm going to tell you, someone have to hear this. God is dealing with someone patience right now, because we could stand on the line and we'll sit up there and say, "How long is this going to take? Oh, I got to be in traffic." God dealing with your feelings. He's dealing with your level of emotions and consciousness. What if that traffic is backed up because somebody is lying in that highway on the ground and about to die? But we're emotional. We want to go ahead and make the traffic move. What if that line is held up because that person that is at that cash register don't have enough money to pay for their stuff? So they're taking out things and they're putting back things because they're not budgeting for what they don't have. See, we have to be the God that we say we love so much in this world and start thinking ahead. This is why God had me doing this PERISCOPE and this conference call tonight. Because we have to wake up. We can't wake the people up. We got to wake up. Then we might realize we're feeling judgmental by judging how long it should take. It don't take nobody that long. It don't take all that. They don't need to do that. So you the judge. Judge not, for ye shall be judged. In what? Because when your time comes, you're going to be judged in the same measure. The picture might not look like the same picture in the frame, but as long as it's in the frame, it's a picture. So now your picture is looking different, but now you're being judged for what you have judged that person. Another example, you are in a room, another person enter, and at first you don't see them, but maybe you realize there is a new noise. You turn, then you see the person and become aware that they are in the room. That is a level of consciousness, your first level of emotional awareness. Many times we don't even know what's going on around us, especially with children that they're taking drugs, they're having sex, and we don't know because we're not aware. We're still asleep. Acknowledge the feeling, and we're going to continue this lesson. I'm going to go ahead and close out. To continue to continue the example of a person in a room with you. After you have become aware that there's something in the room, you might acknowledge that person by waving and saying hello. That's where you're acknowledging the feeling. Have you noticed that when another thing I want to talk to y'all about really quick, and I'm going to close out from there. I want to tell you something. Do you notice that when someone comes in the room and you're like, oh, her nose is turned up at me, she don't like me, she don't talk to me, and look, she thinks she all that judgmental. What if she is going through something in her home? What if she just came out of getting, y'all ready for raw? Her behind beat. And she had to go slap on all that makeup to look pretty and have the mask on for you. What if this is the only way she knows how to operate? Where is the love? Emotional awareness. Many of us run around and say we're prophets and we're called by God to do this, but we can't even see a person in an emotional turmoil if we're not on the pulpit and trying to have a church service. And you're a pastor? Pastoring, every gift of the Spirit, always work 24/7. Jesus did not say, I'm not Jesus today. Me and the Father ain't hanging out today. I'm not on the Sermon on the Mount. You have to be aware at all times of who you are. When you are at peace with yourself, when you have on the full armor and you're fully aware, fully equipped. The other day I had to do something for someone. Let me tell you something. God tests me every day. I have clients that I speak in that car. I got clients that I deal with. When I come off this Periscope, as much as I and Dr. J know this and Sid know this, as much as I become tired, they know. Bridget worked 24/7. I might get 20 minutes of good rest, good sleep. But I have a job to do. And when I have a job to do, there's times I will sit there. I use this and I'm laughing when we're going to close out and get some questions asked. Yesterday, I actually paid for my grandson's driver's test, and I went ahead and sacrificed some stuff, paid for his driver's test. And not knowing that I paid for the driver's test, this boy was going to call me for me to go stay on the phone with him. He said he took 5 hours to do the drug and alcohol test. And he's like, Grandma, so now I'm trying to work. The only way Grandma could make money is to work. And that's how, my father allows it. I'm going to take that back. So I'm working, and I did hear my father say, take off. I want you to rest this week. And again, intuition. I knew that he was doing something in me. So I go in the store and I start picking up some stuff to come back home and do what my father wants me to do. I and my father are one. We're truly one. I love that man. And my grandson now was on the phone. He said, okay, I'm getting ready to do the driving test. I said, okay. I said, did you want me to stay on the phone with you all the way for an hour? Yes. Eric, really? Yes, Grandma. Can you stay on the phone with me? So I'm walking through the store, and he's like giving me all the questions, and I'm like, okay, where's your mom? Okay, so this is what we'll do. So you know what? This is compassion. This is where I wasn't enabling him. I was sending the questions back to him. I said, Eric, Google it. And I'm Googling it with him, and he's Googling it, and I said, what do you think the answer is? Read it again. And a whole hour, I had sat in the car. I didn't complain one time. That's love. That's love when he can call me and can trust me. because God could trust me. That's your level of emotion of awareness going out your way. I was teaching him and he was learning at the same time. That's where God wants us. That destroyer would have said, boy, do you know how much I have to do? Boy, you need to go ahead and go sit down somewhere. Wait till your mama wake up to go ahead and do that. No, he trusted me. And he failed the test. I said, you failed the test? Because we were pushing. He said, Grandma, I got 8 minutes. I said, baby, we could do it. Come on. We could do it. We could do this 8 minutes. Just answer the question. I said, we got to pay for this test again? I was like, okay, so what we got to pay for? He said that. And he said, I failed it. I got 56. I said, it's okay. I said, let's find out how you could do it again. And this time, this is what I want you to do. You didn't tell me that you didn't study. You didn't tell me that you didn't have the book. Okay, all right, you fooled me this time. I want you to ask your mom to go take you to the DMV. And because I'm in Texas and he's in Florida, and go get that book. And before you take that test again on Friday, you better make sure you know those answers. Yes, Grandma. I love you. I love you too. I said, I guess I'll go home. I can't work now. She's like, yes, Grandma. That is love. That is killing the destroyer and learning how to move in unconditional love. We're going to continue this on Sunday, and I hope many of you can get back and join us. Dr. J will be on. And we're going to go through identifying the feeling. You got to identify the feeling. You have acknowledging the feeling, identifying the feeling, accepting the feeling, and reflecting on the feeling. Because one thing I do is I sit back, and when I get frustrated, I'm going to say real quick, and when I get frustrated, I want to find out what it is I'm frustrated about. What is it that came to trigger me and I need to deal with? Is there any questions before we close out Periscope? People, there's any questions, any comments, and people on the actual conference line, you can speak. It's speak up. Don't forever hold your peace. I thank you all for being on. Is there any questions or comment? Yes. Yeah, welcome. Sim said she coming on the conference line so she can hear the talk. That was our friend Beth. She has Beth Ministry. She's so awesome. She used to be on the radio with me. Thank you so much for that insight of Beth. And that is true. That's what Christ meant, going through the example of love. Periscope, I'm going to head and close this out, and I'm going to talk to the people on the conference line. But I want to thank you so much for watching and pass this on. We are on Sundays, and our conference line number is 302 202 1104. That's 302 1104. And to chime in is access code 520-639. 520-639. We're on Sundays at 11 a.m. Thank you so much for it. Everyone on the conference line, hold on. Have a wonderful night, Paris.